Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. So, I am thinking... since explosives are very expensive in our market, I'm thinking I'm actually going to throw the explosives factories that we queued in up to the top of the tech tree here, and then we'll get that going. Let me see what kind of tolerance, what kind of steel capacity production I have. I could go to one, I could put one construction sector on steel frame, I think, without necessarily wrecking things too badly. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and grab the one in New York, I think. So that's going to add 150 steel. Let's go ahead and hit that button. It's going to slightly increase our construction capacity. So now glass production and steel production are both over outputs, but glass production is going up. Now, how is porcelain production? Demand for porcelain is pretty low, so what I'm going to do... Oh, I can do steel hulls for shipyards. I'm not going to do that quite yet, though. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to swap the glassworks that are on bone china over to producing ceramics. That's going to increase the glass output and reduce the output of other things. Now, the Rhode Island glassworks can continue to increase hiring, theoretically. Illinois glassworks have fired some people. That's not great. Demand for porcelain, we're right about at the point we want to be at for porcelain, which is good. And for glass, we are now overproducing again. Alright, so that means that from a glass perspective, I actually can afford to increase the, to do one more construction sector. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll do one of the smaller ones. We'll do the one in Tennessee, up to steel frame. So once that one hires, that's going to increase the demand for glass. Alright, and now glass is underproduced. And porcelain is right about at the middle. Well, no, porcelain's overproduced still. That's really interesting. Let me let another week go by, and we'll see how that changes things. Alright, so that's kind of stable. So what that tells me is I need to put one of my glassworks onto producing only glass. So let's see. Let's have the Rhode Island one prioritize glass production. And I think we'll have the Maryland one do this. No, because now it's saying it's going to not be productive. So once again, we'll take a look. Steel is pretty high over our limits. Glass is high as well. And then porcelain. That didn't produce a lot less porcelain. I'm curious about that. Are we importing porcelain from somewhere? No, we're not. That's really interesting. I've got a trader up bringing in luxury clothes. Obviously, I don't need that. It's someone else's. Cool. Easiest peasiest. That said, this export route of coffee is not productive. I'm going to go ahead and scrap it. And this export route of tobacco is not productive, so I'm going to go ahead and scrap it. These two are both also unproductive. We'll go ahead and get rid of them. And this furniture import route is goofed as well. Now, I've got a little bit of bureaucracy to play with, but not actually that much. Due to them losing their interest in the Balkans, I should have... Oh, I've got a bunch of interests I can declare. Well, heck. Let's declare some interests in Europe. And many places. Finish out those areas. We'll do Japan, we'll do Indonesia, we'll do Southeast Asia. Those are good diplomacy targets. Alright, so that's pretty solid. We've almost got these explosive factories built up, so I'm pretty happy about that. Railway and Houseland's going to take forever, but that simply is what it is. There's nothing I can do about that. Now, what is this? This is Baroda against Baroda, supported by Persia and Great Qing, demanding independence with a secondary of increased autonomy. That's really interesting. UK wants Persia as a protectorate. Wow! How on earth did Persia get all of this? That's bananas. They took most of Afghanistan. Whew, wow. That is really interesting. And then they're going to try to conquer Gujarat, which is... This is Baroda. Oh, this is Gujarat. They're going to conquer all of Baroda. They're probably going to pull me into this. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to put me in a war for a hot minute, which is going to be probably just fine. Still reducing ties with the Netherlands. Increasing them with these other two countries. New Grenada, are you still reducing relations with me? No, you're not. Alright, beautiful. So that means their liberty desire is still going down. Cash flow is negative, but that's okay. We're above our maximum gold reserve at this point, so I'm not at all worried about cash flow. There's all of our interests popping off. I'm just going to go ahead and scrap all these notifications because I don't need them. Military revolt in Sikkim backed by Great Britain. That's just fine. Estonian mass immigration from the Baltic governorates to Ohio. Excellent. And what is the private sector building? They're building some workshops and some lead mines. Some tooling workshops and some lead mines. Alright, so... Edmund Burge. I think I'm going to throw the Statue of Liberty at the top of the queue. And I actually think I'm going to put some of these steel mills above the tooling factories, because I think the more we increase the size of our railway network, the more steel we're going to need in the customs union to begin with. On top of the steel we're going to need to have in order to build up those, in order to use those construction sectors. South German mass immigration to Arkansas, very good. So I think now that Nevada's gold mines are fully employed, I'm going to go ahead and put an end to my decree. That's fine. I think Nevada's got profitable industries and solid employment, so I'm not worried about any of that. So yeah, I think a solid population from here in Nevada. I don't need to focus on increasing that. California's pretty short on population. That's really interesting. Not sure what to do about that, but I'm not going to do anything about it right at the moment. Chile is going after the Tahueche nation. That's just fine with me. That doesn't impact me much at all. And it looks like Great Britain has not pulled us into their war, so that's just fine. We can continue to focus on doing our own thing. I'm actually going to go ahead, French-British rivalry. Well, sort of shocked that that wasn't already happening, but that is what it is. I'm going to focus right now, actually, on starting up a new expedition, because I know there's expeditions in Africa as well that you can do, and those are really good for my prestige, so let's go ahead with that. Let me see, Niger River is over here. Can we find it on the map? Actually, I don't know if our river is depicted on the map. They are. Where's the Niger River? Niger, tell me your secrets.
No, you're making me look stupid in front of the whole internet.
Alright. Well, that's a lake. I think that's Lake Chad. If it's not Lake Chad, nobody tell me. Oh, this. I think this is going to be the Niger River. Possibly this one. Does this one go to Niger? No, this one's source is over here. Well, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. Let's try to find it. Despite many attempts to navigate it, the full course of this river remains a mystery. Shall we send an expedition to attempt to plot the course of the river? Members of the Trade Society have expressed their interest in promoting a new Africa policy based on increased commerce and the divulgation. That's not a word I've heard before. I think it means divulge, as in to share, of American values in this land. We've emphasized the necessity of plotting the Niger River for use as a commercial avenue and have proposed an expedition for this cause. I know the person for the job. Let me see. We can send Alonso Delano. He's very good. We can send David Farragut. He has had a success in the past. Or we can send Franklin Buchanan. I don't think Franklin Buchanan has explored before. So we're going to send Franklin Buchanan. This is the same dialogue as starting up the previous expeditions. So now we should have an expedition over here. I'm not as familiar with the African expedition events as I am with the American West ones. So that's just going to be a little different, and we'll see how it goes. Go ahead and finish out with that. And again, we're going to do some more territorial aggressions once our infamy is reduced. I'm going to go after Denmark and Venezuela. So, now I've got some authority to play with. So, let's go ahead and throw another consumption tax in there. I can throw... Well, actually, I don't need a consumption tax. What else am I... Yeah, that's the only thing I'm spending authority on. Maybe I'll just leave my authority where it is, because I really don't need the cash, and I don't want to... It's not going to affect standard of living much, but it is going to affect standard of living a little bit. So, let's see. What else is there to do with authority? Not really. The expedition embarks. After a few weeks of preparation and travel, the expedition to plot the course of the river Niger, led by Franklin Buchanan, has arrived at their starting point. The tide was low so early in the morning. Our steamboat slowed its pace as the first glimpses of vegetation carbunkled among the port buildings like modest emeralds. The salt-filled air was gently replaced by grains of paradise, anise seeds, cloves. On one of the roofs, a young girl dried her laundry. Onward. So this is our expedition. We're at low peril, so that'll be just fine. And is this costing us any money? Yes, we have additional expenses here. Oh, interesting. So this is... Hold on. We'll just lock this in here. So we've got 2 items for additional expenses and timed modifiers. Oh yeah, the concert expenses. Alright, and then the expedition budget is just scaled to the size of GDP, which, you know, some might argue doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it is what it is. I think... Yeah, no, that's the way we want to do this. So how is construction efficiency in New Granada? It's pretty alright. It's pretty alright, actually. Yeah, it's just fine. I'm feeling pretty confident overall in our ability to make that happen. Because if once we build these railroads, those countries' economies can continue to grow, and I think that's going to be really useful for us. Because our economy is continuing to grow, although it looks like it took a step down a minute ago, but it is what it is. Bad news. When reaching one of the enclaves, a letter was waiting for Franklin Buchanan, stating that his fiancée back in the United States of America has married another man. Oh, how sorrowful the heart and heavy the mind. This traitor has bewitched my intelligence and poisoned my soul. Oh, how miserable. Oh, how desperate. If the gods of fate are fair and just, they will get this despicable woman her well-deserved end. Let the man mourn, lose his progress, or he'll find another one, minor progress in peril. So do we want to play it fast and loose, or do we want to play it safe? You know, we've only gotten 1 tick of progress. I'm going to let the man mourn. We'll just lose it. It'll be fine. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. I don't know at what rate progress accrues. I think it's maybe 1 progress a month. And then it needs to go up to 8. So, you know, it's sort of silly that I don't know that. I feel like I should know that. But, you know, it is what it is. Actually, I can build a colony in a Hagar. And there are a couple places I can establish colonies now that I've got interest, but I'm not going to do that quite yet because I don't have malaria prevention. A good vintage. The wine produced in Kentucky has been lauded by sommeliers as outstanding. When people say that something ages like wine, they don't always make a distinction between wine and wine. So let me make that distinction. If you can get your hands on a bottle from Kentucky, that bottle can be more than just a good time. It can be an investment. It's called bourbon, you dummy. You big dummy. Alright, we're going to make this an exclusive product for export. Next, cause without a rebel. Although Joshua Norton is still fighting for his cause, no one is following him anymore. Despondent, Norton has started publicly remarking that he may give up on his activism altogether. This is kind of a tragedy, honestly. I was hoping he was going to stick around and goof about for a while. It's because we've got the petite bourgeoisie in the government, so they're not raising heckles about anything. What's the point? Speakers, when we have any, speak to empty halls and at empty chairs. There's no crowds, no banners. If anyone pays attention at all, they never understand what we're preaching. What reason is there to stay here? We're all stuck doing nothing. Let's see. Joshua Norton can find greener pastures elsewhere, is exiled, or no time for timidity. The movement needs drastic changes. You know, he can go. Norton can go somewhere else, probably to Great Britain. Problematic policing. Event in D.C. Police officers in uniform have been discovered supporting the American-British Fellowship activity while on duty, lowering public confidence in the police force. A resident of Connecticut comments on members of the police force patrol that walk in pristine uniforms with a hint of arrogance to their gait. Disdain drips from the onlooker's voice. These officers certainly think highly of themselves. They carry out errands for the American-British Fellowship and accept their gifts. They ignore their duty to the people of Connecticut. As long as everyone's discreet, there's no harm. 5% of pops in Connecticut become radical. American relations improves towards Great Britain. Or we need to restore the public's confidence, reduce their appeasement. 5% of pops in Connecticut become loyal. I'm going to do the second one. I don't need all that much appeasement out of the American-British Fellowship. They're already pretty thoroughly appeased, to be honest. Kidnapped. Word arrives from the expedition that several of the members, including Franklin Buchanan, have been kidnapped by a local king who is demanding a ransom. A light in the night rarely is a good sign. The medieval imagination that made those people speak of the will-o'-the-wisps, ignis fatuus, dangerous creatures leading them into death, wasn't mistaken. The torch became a lantern, and the lantern became a man. The man became a dozen, and soon after they were holding us captives. The metal of their guns also shined in the night. We couldn't oppose them, not in those conditions. We'll pay 2 years government expenses. Kidnapped leader released in 3 days. Or they'll need to figure it out. Kidnapped crew escapes. So probably this is cash, and then this is going to be... It's interesting. It doesn't tell us what exactly the consequences are. I got to imagine that the one that costs money is the better outcome, so I'm going to go with the first one. We're going to see what happens. Next time it happens, we'll see again. After organizing the payment of the ransom, the expedition crew is released unharmed, and even sent in the correct direction. It wasn't the most pleasant experience, but we dined on roasted yams and were generally well treated. Excellent. Minor progress. Alright, so that's kind of cool. Knowledge of gantry cranes is spreading. Oh, interesting. The evangelicals still want... There's still a monarchist movement, and the evangelicals are supporting it because they like monarchy better than republic. That's very interesting. I didn't realize the American evangelicals liked monarchy better than republic. So once again, Orissa's state in Africa, and HBC versus the Nitsitapi people. Oh my goodness. So that's this area right here. Expedition member drowns. In the night, a member of the expedition fell off the boat. We could spend time looking for them, or we could move on. The screams came first, then the drowning, and then the long and succulent stain on the water, red as strawberry syrup or the last moments of dawn, when the horizon is clear and the clouds look like worn-out bandages. I'm not a very good swimmer, you know. He looked out of the river, over the river with a crooked smile days ago. Good, it's almost over. Time to push on, peril in progress, or find him. Minor peril, slight delay. I think if we're going to get peril either way, we might just go with more progress and more peril. Alright, so we're at medium peril right now. So we got to be conscientious here. Got to be careful. Steel is very expensive, and that's... Tell you what, we'll throw a couple of steel mills in the top here. We've completed the freedom of thought. The thought, the word, and the ideal. Those who seek to Those who seek to think boldly and freely are increasingly finding the United States of America to be one of the safest places to explore their ideas. Have you read the filth laid out in the supposed poem about the American president? Outrageous! Outrageous! Written by one of his countrymen, too, can you imagine? I got a copy for myself. Someone needs to keep an eye on these literary libertines. The American government certainly isn't. A utopia for the modern artist, 10% throughput for arts academies, and get the new Colossus journal entry. And we're going to get the new Colossus journal entry from both of these. So the first option is 10% Arts Academy throughput, or a place where research is unimpeded by tradition, 20% university throughput. I'm going to go with the second one, because I love getting more innovation, and I don't think we were at an innovation cap as of last week, because literacy is continuing to be pretty solid. Yeah, we're at 123, our cap is 134. I've got the money. I should build up some more universities, but I'm just still trying to support all the stuff I want to support. Infamy is down to 9. It's not quite low enough. I'm probably going to go an unexpected guest. As the expedition encounters a group of suspicious traders, one of the men claims to be an Ecuadorian ambassador kidnapped by these mercenaries. Their hands were stained the color of earth, grass, and rusty blood. Their faces smiled when they saw us, and I looked at my men with a severe expression. No man smiles this deep in the jungle. One of them approached us, spoke in a foreign language that one of our younger boys could recognize. They're merchants, he said. They want to know if we want to sell anything. Explorers, another voice shouted, coarse, desperate. These men kidnapped me months ago. Thieves, mercenaries, criminals. I'm the Ecuadorian ambassador. Free me from this treacherous fate. We need to get this man to safety, improve relations with Ecuador, slightly delay the investigation, the expedition, or how do we know he's not lying? Let me see. Ecuador. Hold up. This is Ecuador. Relations are not great, and I don't need them to be great. I'm not dealing with this. We'll get progress. Give me my progress. Ooh, rubber discovered in Volta. Wonderful. Rubber rush. Rubber has been successfully grown in American Volta. The fragile nature of these trees and their difficult-to-meet conditions make this achievement exceptionally important. The Amazonian rubber monopoly is finally over. Those beautiful trees have decided to grow elsewhere after multiple unsuccessful attempts. Those stubborn little things. And now it is our duty to end those greedy tycoons' empires. This place seems to be the most effective. We're going to get this event a million times. Oftentimes there's a second option that lets you provide this same migration attraction bonus somewhere else. I'm never going to click that. I'm always going to say this place seems to be most effective. I don't really understand what the choice is here, but we're getting some rubber resources is what we're getting. By the way, we've got Windward Coast Incorporated. We've got Dahomey Incorporated. We've got Togo Incorporated. We're still incorporating Ghana, and we're close on some others. So we've got a bunch of African states now. Huh, Mauritania is 18 years. These two West African... Oh, interesting. So this territory is actually Middle Eastern heritage people. Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. So those people will not be accepted because they don't share a heritage with one of our primary pops unless we go to multiculturalism. So I think I might actually cancel incorporation, but I've got plenty of time. I don't need the bureaucracy. So I'll just kind of let it be as it is for the moment. So we've added a journal entry called the New Colossus, and I'm just going to take a second to read that to you. I think we're going to put that up there. Interesting. The New Colossus. People of all races and creeds will be welcome in our free and open society. So, this will complete if we have enacted for our religious law either total separation of church and state, or freedom of conscience, if we've banned slavery, if we've enacted no migration controls, if we achieve multiculturalism in our citizenship law, and then if we increase standard of living greater than or equal to 12. So we're almost at 12 standard of living, which is pretty solid. Rubber and Benin, very nice. Is there any point in building rubber at this stage? I'm not sure. Amogus! One of the expedition members has been caught stealing more provisions than needed under the excuse that he's ill and needs more food. Rations had started to run low, and rumors and mistrust were spreading among the group. One of the men accused another of stealing bread and beans, sneaking out in the middle of the night. "Sir," he cried, his face yellow and slender, "I need the food." My body was starting to falter, and I couldn't follow the rhythm of long marches into the jungle. However, many were the men who were suspiciously doubting his words. "We need every single man, or a thief is of no use to us. Minor progress and peril." We're at medium peril. I don't want to risk peril. I could risk minor peril, but not peril. So I'm just going to say we need every single man, and the expedition continues. Again, I don't know if there's going to be unforeseen consequences to that. I'm just going based on the consequences that appear on the screen there. So just to review, I think we need to be at 6 infamy or below in order to kick off the next war we're going to kick off. And once again, that is to grab this bit of Denmark and to turn Venezuela into a puppet state, which I think we're going to be more than capable of doing with our current forces. Maybe only using the regular army if I'm lucky. Hippopotamus sighted. A hippopotamus has been sighted further along the river. It might be safer to wait for it to move on than to try to row past it. Its rotund appearance may imply a jolly nature, but don't be fooled. The hippo is a vicious beast. We will try to go past it, 50% chance it attacks, 50% chance it sleeps. But we will wait, triggers the event hippopotamus leaves. I'm going to see what leaving does. The expedition waited for a few hours, and eventually the hippo moved on. This little distraction cost us our daylight, though. We'll have to make camp here. What a relief. The expedition continues. Alright, so there's no penalty for saying no to that one, so maybe eventually we'll take a look at that and see what happens. Giuseppe Mazzini expelled from Uruguay. A radical associated with the intelligentsia. That's interesting. Maybe we could get a radical associated with the petite bourgeoisie, and then we could get ourselves a little bit of universal suffrage. How about that? These steel mills have taken a long time. No, the steel mills haven't taken a long time. I've just been doing expedition events a bunch. I don't think it's actually been that long. Where are we in the episode? We're pretty close to the end at this point. Let's see. Current expedition proceeds without incident. A little notification in the lower right. That's cool. I didn't realize that actually showed up if that happened. Alright. Days of Darkness. An eruption of unprecedented records has utterly destroyed the lives of many Dutch East Indies people in the state of West Java, many Javans. The explosion of Krakatoa could be heard from hundreds of miles away, and anything that had the ill fate of surrounding the island was immediately devastated. And the day was made night. Those enormous waterfalls of fire cascading down the mountainside. A black cloud, gargantuan, all the birds have long abandoned this field. Years from now I will sit by the fireplace, and the light will disturb me no more. We shall help with all we have, increases relations, and we spend some cash for a couple of years. Or nature is a capricious creature, relations deteriorate, we get 5 infamy, and there's an explosion journal entry regardless. I'm going to help. I can definitely afford a little bit of cash. So we are continuing to build the steel mills. Is the private construction queue building any steel mills? They're not. I suspect because I've got a bunch queued that's not happening. I think that might be why. Air diplomatic play against us. Alright, so this is a native uprising. Let's see. They've got 2 battalions. I think I can do this with 2 battalions as well. So we'll mobilize the Army of Florida to deal with it. I don't think I'm going to need anyone's help with this. In fact, I'm feeling extremely confident. Attack on the river. While the expedition is traveling by river, they're attacked by locals. Careful, sir. A sharp sound deafened the noise of the crew. An arrow was now trembling, struck in the wooden wall just next to my head. Down! Everybody down! A line of men stood at the edge of the jungle like guardian statues. They held spears and bows pointed directly at us. Their careful movements, that slow shuffle there, we had trespassed their limits. Down! I heard the men shout. Stand and fight, 50% chance of success, 50% chance of defense. Or run, minor progress, triggers tactical retreat. I like the idea of minor progress. Let's do that. The expedition leaves the area as quickly as it can. We rushed to get out of there. Took a fork in the river. It wasn't the right way, but it was the safe way. At least everyone is alive. Okay, so that's progress with no penalties. Smoke streams. Vivid red sunsets were reported for several months across the country. Fire engines were even called out in Ohio to quench the apparent conflagration. Many artists and academics have expressed their interest in this phenomenon. A blue and sometimes green moon, its inflammable luminescence igniting the night with unnatural intensity. White moonbeams shining through the clouds emerge purple and sometimes also blue, green. Lavender suns, noctilescent clouds, a distasteful fascination. Only a painting could capture such beauty, 15% Arts Academy throughput. Our academics must ensure that we prepared for the next eruption. Volcanic eruptions will be less damaging in the future. Oh, that's interesting. 15% university throughput. I'm going to go with the second one. That's pretty rad. Actually, let's look at the time. It is actually time for the end of the episode. We haven't done all that much, but we're in a good spot from an infamy perspective to get started on our next diplomatic play next episode. So we'll probably work on that once the next episode rolls around. For now, I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I'll see you on the other side.